Hey, what's up? I know it's been a while. Jimmy Smith back with my YouTube for a post-fight show, Rafael dos Anjos versus Paul Felder. So I moved into a new house, and so things have been pretty chaotic and crazy. And then I have my SiriusXM show, 2 to 5 every day, Unlocking the Cage. Yay, check me out. So anyway, it's just been really busy and hard to keep up with everything. So I'm trying to get back on track, and this is part of that. So anyway, this is where I usually own the picks that I made pre-show, but I made them on my SiriusXM show, and I wasn't able to make a YouTube video for that. So, and I don't remember exactly what they were because so many card changes. So anyway, I'll go over what I do know I picked, which I'm not sure about, and basically drive by the card and let you guys know what I thought about it. We start out Cory Mckenna versus Kay Hansen. I picked Kay Hansen to win this one. I thought she did win it. Personally, I thought it was tied going into the third round. I thought she won the third round. But when Kay Hansen was able to get her takedown going and get on top, she did very, very well. Excellent wrestler, good top control. I like her ground and pound. Cory Mckenna, both of these fighters, 21 years old. I made a joke when I interviewed her last week that they add up to a year younger than I am, both of them put together. So Cory Mckenna had some good striking. I thought Kay Hansen, when she was feeling it on the feet and she would land power punches, she made a mistake that, I mean, a lot of younger fighters do. She started admiring her work. Like, she would land a good combination and stay there. And then Mckenna would land back or get her timing and catch her coming in, and started getting her rhythm and doing better with the striking. And Kay Hansen needed to rely more on her takedown and her grappling. Good job for Cory Mckenna, getting some sweeps and getting on top and initiating some scrambles. But like I said, when Kay Hansen had success, it was when she was on top with her ground and pound and using her top pressure and decent passing and all that stuff, threatened with a couple submissions. But once again, I thought Kay Hansen won it, but Cory Mckenna gets the decision, unanimous. All three judges' scorecards. So Cory Mckenna, good for her. Sean Strickland over Brendan Allen. Man, great stuff by Sean Strickland in round two. Both these guys were having some good exchanges. Sean Strickland has kind of a weird style where he holds his chin really high and his hands really high, and he seems really stiff and tight, but he threw very, very well. Good combination. Stunned Brendan Allen a couple times before he finally got him, and that ending sequence against the fence where he had him was just unloading, and then referee steps in. He steps back, does a little trash talk or yelling or whatever it was. And Brendan Allen leans back against the fence, and it's like you could tell he's just on another planet at the moment. Really hurt by that final barrage. Good stuff from Sean Strickland. He's quietly won 3 in a row, and he's certainly got a lot of potential at 185. Tall, quick, powerful. We'll see how he does against kind of more experienced guys and better grapplers and more well-rounded guys, but excellent win over Brendan Allen, who's very, very tough. So good for him, man. Ashley Yoder, Miranda Granger, a lot of positional changes in this fight. I remember years ago, I called Ben Askren's first fight in Bellator against a guy named Ryan Thomas, and he won with a guillotine that wasn't. The referee thought he was out, and he wasn't. It was just a bad stoppage, and so they had a rematch, and Ryan Thomas and him traded positions a lot where, Ben would get the takedown, but he wouldn't stay on top, and they would kind of flop around and ended up in all these different positions. And sometime during the fight, Sean Wheelock said, man, we're seeing a lot of real technical jiu-jitsu in this. And I was like, not really. I said, when jiu-jitsu is technical, they don't go anywhere. If you give up good position to a Damian Maia or a Jacare or Gilbert Burns, dude, you're never getting it back. It's not like, oh, you push off and get in this other position, they get in this other position. It's like, no, they don't do that. They hold position. You get mounted by Gilbert Burns, you're in trouble, right? You get your back taken by Damian Maia, you're in trouble. They're not leaving. So I thought about that fight when I was watching this with Yoder and Granger, because they just kept swapping positions and a lot of scrambles and flexibility. And somebody tweeted during the fight, they're like, God, this just hurts my joints looking at this, all the twisting and turning and stuff. But then finally, Ashley Yoder gets dominant position and doesn't let it go. Got a good body triangle, landed some good ground and pound, and started beating on Granger pretty good. And that's what won her back to fight, is the one that stabilizes and stops, right? The ones that it's in so much jiu-jitsu these days. Baron Beauregard and all this cool stuff and these awesome transitions, but that old school pressure never gets old. It's never bad. It's never incorrect to get a good position and crush. And just hold it and dominate in that position. And when Ashley Yoder was able to do that, she was able to take back the fight. So good job by Ashley Yoder. She gets a unanimous decision. Chaos Williams versus Abdul Razak Alhassan. And we knew this one would end in a knockout. We figured it would end in the first round via knockout. I think I picked Alhassan in this one, and Williams destroyed him. 30 seconds in the first round with a short right hand. They traded some kicks, and I thought Alhassan would be able to make his kicks way more of a factor in this fight and play the outside and be able to blast him at that medium range, especially with the kicks. And Williams stepped in and just drilled him. Beautiful shot, right hand, 30 seconds into the first round. Dana White is impressed. He's talking about how, great his knockout is, and 11-1. This guy hasn't lost since 2018, so he's on a good run right now. Only his second fight in the UFC, so sky's the limit on this guy. Good for him. We'll see how he does against some more experienced fighters. But at 170, this dude can crack. Good sense of range, but great killer instinct. And that can take you pretty far, especially when you're just getting started. So hats off to him. Second fight in the UFC, it didn't seem like the nerves had really gotten to him. He had the knockout power when he needed it. Rafael dos Anjos, Paul Felder. This was what everybody expected, at least certainly what I expected. I picked Rafael dos Anjos to win, probably by late stoppage or by decision. He ends up winning by decision. He did what fighters did to him at 170 pounds. You could see why he had trouble at 170. Because Paul Felder had some success against Rafael dos Anjos in space, right? Out in the middle of the octagon, quick combinations, very, very sharp, very, very accurate. But every time Dos Anjos needed a break, or he needed to switch gears, or he needed to change the scenario, he got to the clinch, got to the fence, and got a takedown. And excellent ground and pound. He's always had a great jiu-jitsu game. We knew that. But that was an option he didn't have at 170. You're not gonna I think I'll clinch Colby Covington and take him down and get a little space. Like, you can't do that. Colby Covington wears you out in those positions. Kamaru Usman wears you out in those positions, right? Michael Chiesa wears you out in those positions. So the difficulties he had at 170, you could see how it was suddenly gone at 55. He could be the bully. He could muscle Paul Felder around. He could dictate where the fight went. He could use his grappling game and his clinch game and his takedown game, right? He got beat several times out in the open, center of the mat, and then he would flip the script and take him down. Oh, no, of course he did land some good punches in the center. It wasn't like it was a wipeout. But you could tell that when he wanted to change the direction of the fight, he's like, okay, I'll get this one to the fence and then to the mat. And he did it. And so game effort, very game effort by Paul Felder. So real quickly, where does each guy go from there? I thought the scorecard was nuts. 50-45 on two judges' scorecards, and then 48-47 on for Paul Felder. That's insane. That's insane that two judges saw it one way and another judge sees it totally differently. That blows my mind. You could easily give Rafael dos Anjos every round of that fight. You could have given Paul Felder a couple rounds. I don't know how you give him 3 out of 5 rounds. I don't see that at all. It makes much more sense for Rafael dos Anjos to win every single round than Paul Felder to win 3 out of 5 rounds. I don't get that at all. So anyway, but the idea that one judge is doing his own thing is weird. But it's the state of MMA judging, I guess. So where do both guys go? It's an interesting question. Rafael dos Anjos, the good news is he was a former champ at 155. So he kind of starts out, even though he had some difficulties in his last few fights, those were 170 pounds. So him going back to 155 and looking as good as he did, he can kind of restart and be, to me, right there up amongst the elite at 155, right? Also, we saw a style that I think does very, very well against a lot of fighters at 155. There aren't a lot of great grapplers at 155 these days. Not a lot of great wrestlers. Okay, which is one of the things I said about Khabib's dominance. I was like, one of the things is that Khabib was taking on a lot of guys who weren't great wrestlers. Same thing with Rafael dos Anjos, meaning, Dan Hooker, great striker, good footwork, not a great grappler necessarily. Dustin Poirier's a decent grappler, but not really like a wrestler. That really isn't his background or anything like that. Same thing with Conor McGregor, great striker, but not the greatest grappler in the world. The only guys I think that really out-clinch him or outwork him when it comes to the grappling side of it, obviously Justin Gaethje, great wrestler, and with knockout power. Khabib, I don't know if Khabib's coming back, if he's retired. I'm kind of up in the air about that myself. And then obviously Tony Ferguson has some decent grappling as well. But a lot of the guys in the top 10, Charles Oliveira, great jiu-jitsu guy, but not necessarily a great wrestler. I think Dos Anjos is going to be able to manhandle a lot of fighters. You know, put him down and use that ground and pound the way he won the title against Pettis. You got to remember that. It was takedown, ground and pound, takedown, ground and pound. I think he can do that to a lot of fighters at 155. And so stylistically, I think he matches up with the top 5 very, very well. Paul Felder, the issue to me, and what I find strange, is he's saying, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sticking around. I showed how I can hang with the best. Well, you showed that last time, too, right before you retired. So his rationale last time for retiring it was, I don't see a path to the top. If there's no path to the top, what am I doing it for? I don't see that, so I'm out of here. He still has the same problem. I don't really see an easy path to the top necessarily. That's 2 in a row at 55, which is a Shark Tank division. And can he still win? Can he still have competitive fights? Can he still hang with the elite? Yeah. But he could when he retired last time, too. So I don't know why it's any better now. So it's up to him when to retire and when he sticks around. Once again, he can have entertaining fights. He can still beat excellent guys. He can still be a factor at 55. Can he get all the way to the title? I don't think so. So if that was the criteria last time, I don't think anything's changed. The fact that I guess he hung with an excellent fighter who's, I think, top 5 still at 55 on a week's notice, yeah, that says something. That's great. But he came this close to beating Dan Hooker, who's top 5 as well last time, and then retired. So I don't know. He'll stick around until he takes that beating that makes him decide that it's worth just being a commentator. So he's going to take that path, which a lot of fighters do, which is they stick around until Father Time gets him. So we'll see how it goes. He can still have entertaining fights. I think they book him very quickly. He did them a solid, so we'll see where he goes from here on out. All right, so stay tuned. I'll be back with the next one as soon as I get everything set up in the new house and all that fun stuff. But I appreciate you, and I'll be back soon.